We might as well do that.
Huh?
Okay, since you're recording. Good evening, I'm Diana Lopari. I'm the chair of the Boxborough Select Board. This is the Select Board meeting for December 28th, 2022. It is now 6 o'clock, and I am going to open this session by a roll call vote. First of all, John Markowitz.
Markowitz, present.
Les Fox.
Present.
And Diana Lopari is present, so we do have a quorum. At this point, I move to enter into executive session for the purpose of reviewing, approving, and/or releasing minutes of January 25, 2021, and to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation for Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, Police and pending litigations, and to reconvene an open session at 7 p.m. on a separate Zoom link provided on the posted agenda. Chair noting that discussion in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Les?
Fox, aye.
And Lopari, aye. Thank you. We'll return at 7 o'clock. Yes, I'm going to proceed with the announcements and then let me know when Wes has joined. Okay, these are the announcements for today. The Public Celebrations and Ceremonies Committee and the Personnel Board are looking for members. If you are interested, you may find the resident interest form under the quick links at our homepage of www.boxborough-ma.gov. There's a new career opportunity for a full-time administrative assistant position for DPW and fire. See the front page of the town's website for more information. Town Hall offices will be closed Monday, January 2nd in observance of New Year's Day. The transfer station will have holiday hours this Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon. And don't miss that because we did last week, so only till noon. The annual town meeting warrant is set to close on January 9th. Please see town's webpage for details. The budget Saturday meeting will be held at Sargent Memorial Library from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Message from the assessor's office. October 3rd and 4th, real estate tax bills were mailed for the third quarter tax bill, which is due at the collector's office by February 1st, 2023. All personnel exemptions submitted to the assessor's office have been either granted or denied, and a certificate will be mailed to the applicant. If you are a recipient, it is suggested to call the collector's office for your new third quarter tax bill amount. The personnel property form of lists will be mailed on or about January 3rd, 2022. They are due back to the assessor's office by March 1, 2023. If you have a concern about an item that is not listed on the agenda, please raise it during community concern. If you have a question or comment about an item that is on the agenda, you will be recognized after the board members have had an opportunity to get their questions answered. Due to time constraints, the board may not be able to accommodate comments from all residents on all topics. Please wait to be recognized by the chair before addressing the board. This is a forum for public input, questions, and criticism. However, we ask that all participants be respectful and civil. If a community member displays behavior repeatedly that is inappropriate or who does not respect the chair's right for the Massachusetts General Law to ask someone to stop speaking at any point, they will be muted for this meeting, and I may not call on them in the future. We thank you for your understanding. Wes, has Wes arrived?
He is.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
Zoom forced an update.
Okay, they did to me too, which is very annoying at the wrong times, right? Okay, we have, those are the announcements, approval of minutes. I don't see it on the agenda, but do we have any community concerns?
Okay, don't see any hands raised.
Right. Seeing none, I'm going to go on to the new business. The introduction of new employees. Is this Mike? I don't see Mike on here. Is Mike on? yet? He was having trouble with his.
Yeah, I'm on here. I think the fire chief was going to introduce.
Oh, okay.
someone.
Chief, are you available? Chief Philibron? He's not on here right at the moment. Okay, let's go back to that. Appointments.
He's there. He just was.
Yeah, sorry, it wouldn't let me unmute. It just let me unmute.
Okay.
Sorry,
There you
Diana.
go. Hi, Chief.
I didn't get the Zoom update, but I was having trouble unmuting. So,
I know the Zoom update always comes at the worst time.
perfect
Okay, so
timing.
you have an introduction of a new.
Yeah, so I'd like to introduce you. He's on this evening. It's going to be Ben Kendrick. He's a firefighter. He's replacing a firefighter just left. Ben grew up in the town of Boxborough. He attended the Acton Boxborough schools. He most recently graduated Bentley College, Bentley University. I dated myself on that one. He was a firefighter for the town of Harvard for 3 years. He received his EMT training a year ago, and that's when he approached me about getting on the fire department in our community as a part-time firefighter. I wholeheartedly took him on board. Since joining our department, I've seen this young firefighter EMT grow into a well-rounded, mature EMT firefighter. And one of his strongest qualities is he's always wants to learn and get better. I feel strongly by adding Ben to full-time status, he will assist the town of Boxborough. If Ben wants to talk real quick, I know.
All right, Ben, do you want to say something to us?
Sure, I'll talk quickly. I think, Chief, you covered all the basics, but like he said, lifelong resident, was born over at Emerson and went to the Blanchard and AB schools. So I'm really happy to work in a community that means a lot to me. I'm beyond excited for this role. It's really an amazing group of people, and the department seems to have great leadership at all levels. So I appreciate the opportunity and excited to continue at Boxborough Fire. Thanks, guys.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Ben.
Yes. So now we go on to new appointments. Francie Nolde, Sustainability Committee.
Good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to introduce two people to you, if we can do them together. There's Kate Davies, who, I'm just waving, and Kate, you can tell the group better than I, but sustainability is an area that she understands so well. She understands the issues and solutions, and through her work at Tufts University, working with graduate students, she has a special ability to add a great deal to our community. And Jay, Krishnan Maui, is also going to become an alternate on the committee. And he recently has taken the 2040 book club class with Marjorie Camp and is working on all those issues, and is going to help us with Energize Boxborough. So we're delighted and thrilled to have both Kate and Jay.
Is Kate available? Is she here on the
Yes,
call?
she is.
Yep, I'm here. Hi, everybody. It's really lovely to get to meet you all virtually, hopefully at some point in person. I moved to Boxborough about 1.5 years ago, and to take a position at Tufts as the director of a small master's in sustainability program for one of the graduate programs there in the urban and environmental policy and planning program. And I've been looking for ways to get involved and give back to the community here, and working with Francie seemed like a really natural fit. So I'm really thrilled to become a part of the Sustainability Council.
Great. Jay, is Jay available?
Yes.
Yes. So hope you all can see me from the camera. So I've been a Boxborough resident for 10 years exactly now. So I've been wanting to do something for the community. Now that my older son has gone on to college and my younger one is in high school, I have a little bit more time. So I thought I will help out any way I could to a cause that I care about. So decided to volunteer for the group. So hope I can be of some use for the community.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jay. Okay, I move to appoint Kate Davies to Sustainability Committee with a term ending June 30th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say that I worked with Kate and Francie on a proposal this past summer, and Kate has tremendous capability and enthusiasm, so I think she's going to be a great addition. And I'm sure I've run across Jay or some of his children in the schools in the past years.
Wonderful. Okay, John. Take a vote. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Les?
Fox eye.
Wes?
Okay.
And Lopari, aye. So now I move to appoint Jay Krishnasamy
Krishnasamy.
to Sustainability Committee with the term ending June 30th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? John?
Markowitz, aye.
Les?
Fox eye.
And Wes?
Okay.
And Lopari, aye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
Keep up
you
the
so
good
much.
work, Sustainability Committee.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
So now we are discussing the appointment to two new members to the Council on Aging. Is Bill Latente here on the call?
Yep.
Okay, Bill.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes, you can.
Yep.
I want to welcome Maureen and Marnie. I see they're both here. We're thrilled that we have a couple of new volunteers to be on the Council on Aging. Get us back to a good number of 7 board members and come up with some new things for us to do. So I urge you all to appoint these people. They've shown themselves eager to join us. They've both appeared at things that we've been doing in the past. So welcome to them, and I hope you'll vote in favor of them.
Great. So Maureen Maciola, is she here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Maureen, would you like to say something?
Hello, I'm looking forward to serving on the board. I have participated in the wonderful programs that you have had for the Council of Aging. I think it's such a great thing. I've been in the town for many years, since 1990 or 1991. I've done a lot of things. I've participated in a lot of community things, but I'm looking forward to doing some good with the Council of Aging. My background is I worked as a nurse for Cooperative Elder Care Services. They're medical daycare, people that have dementia and Alzheimer's. I'm very interested in elders. I am of that age, but I think I can offer a lot to the town, and I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you, Maureen. Marnie Stumbellis, are you here?
I am.
Okay, great.
Hello, everybody. I'm looking forward to being on the board. It sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I've only recently retired from working in Lowell as a literacy specialist. So I've been working with a different age group for a number of years, but I have joined the ranks of the seniors now also, and have taken part in some of the opportunities here in town. And I was very active in town many years ago when my kids were young. And so it's very nice to kind of come back at this age and be able to hopefully offer something to town. My background's in literacy and also counseling psychology. So mental health issues are important to me too. And I think that would be a focus of mine, some ways in which I could be of some assistance. And I'm very excited to be able to do this. Sounds great.
Thank you, Marnie. Okay, I move to appoint Maureen Maciola to the Council on Aging Committee with a term ending June 30th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, John.
Markowitz, aye.
Les.
Fox eye.
Wes.
Okay.
And Lopari, aye. Now I move to appoint Marnie Stumbellis, I hope I pronounced that right, to
Pretty
the
close.
Stambelis?
Well, we usually drop the U and just say Stambelis.
Stambelis, okay.
Stambelis, that's right.
Marnie Stambelis to the Council on Aging Committee with a term ending June 30th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second,
Discussion? John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Fox eye.
Wetz,
Fox eye.
and Lepari, aye. Thank you very much, Maureen, Marnie, and Bill. We really appreciate your coming on to the committees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we have to accept the resignation of Tracy Sierra from the Personnel Board. We had her letter. I'm assuming Tracy's not on tonight, but we had a letter in our packet. So I'm going to make a motion. I move to accept the resignation of Tracy Sierra from the Personnel Board with a letter of appreciation for her service. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? I personally want to thank Tracy for stepping in for the Personnel Board. I hope that we get further applicants for the Personnel Board now at this point. There's still a lot of work to do. So please, if you're interested, let us know. John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Fox eye.
Wes,
Fox eye.
and Lepari, aye. Thank you, Tracy. All right, moving on. So now we are going to the fire chief to discuss the firefighter safety equipment grant. Take it away, Chief.
Sorry about that. So I'll try to be quick and to the point for this. The state has been offering a firefighter safety equipment grant that benefits the firefighters and civilian safety. The town of Boxborough was awarded $15,490. The maximum amount we could have got was $15,500. So we got for exactly what we applied for. It is a competitive grant. It's based on population. In years past, they've knocked us down. We didn't score as well. But this year, I got to give a lot of credit to firefighter Derek Tarubo. We've been working on these grants. He's done a lot of it, and it's done a great work at figuring out the scoring mechanism and how to score better. Some of the items we're receiving is some brand new safety fire mics, radio mics for inside for the firefighters, some highway safety equipment, battery powered extrication tool, and this is hopefully the sustainability people are still here, and some battery powered scene lighting. It's really a nice grant to get, and it's actually it allows us to get some nice equipment that benefits both the firefighter and the community. The next grant, do you guys need to prove that?
Yeah,
or?
no, that's okay.
Yeah,
Why don't
so
we
I'll
go
move
into
right
it
to the
all
next
first, and
one.
then we'll do
Yep.
them separate motions.
So the next one is the Massachusetts, it's a MEMA grant, Massachusetts Emergency Management Grant. It was from Emergency Management Planning Grant, and it was for CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team. The town of Boxborough has a BERC, which is Boxborough Emergency Reserve Corps, that opens our shelters and provides our flu clinics. But the federal government has been trying to have us, and the state have been trying to convert over to this CERT organization. This grant was for $5,000 we were awarded. It allows us to provide CERT training within the town of Boxborough. It helps us conduct emergency shelter training exercises. It'll also allow us to do some light search and rescue training to assist both police and fire. And it adds additional some shelter equipment that we're able to get through this grant, a battery powered lighting again, and some cooling fans, which we know we've dealt with a lot of heating emergencies in the last few years since I've been here. And it'll provide additional BERC volunteers safety gear. This one I want to recognize Ron Cisco. He is the call member and part-time firefighter for the town of Boxborough, but he's also the head of the BERC group, and he put a lot of hard work, and this is one of the grants, and I'm going to give all the credit to Ron on this one. He asked me if we should go for it and put a lot of work, and we received it. This will allow the community with the CERT training to actually get more funds for emergency management planning. So these were really two good grants, and I'm very pleased with the team and everyone and the effort everyone's put in for those. So I hope you want to accept that.
Well, let's stop there for a second, because before we go on, so I'm going to make the motion here for the first grant, which is I move to accept the firefighter safety equipment grant in the amount of $15,490.00 for the purposes stated therein. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just like
Good going.
yeah. It's always better to reclaim some of our state taxes. Thank you, Chief.
Well, thank them. They do a great job. So it's really nice to get when you get rewarded like that. So I'm very impressed with the team. They're doing a great job here. So
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
and I'll say
Yeah,
even
thank
for the other people actually filing this grant and others, it's also right. You enabling them and empowering them to do so, and I don't want that to get lost. That's more of a leadership style thing as well. So thank you both to everybody.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, so shall we have a vote? John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Fox eye.
Wes,
Okay.
and Lepari, aye. Great. So moving on to the second grant, I move to accept the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency grant in the amount of $5,000.00 for the purposes stated therein. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just again, congratulations, and Ron, thanks for all your hard work.
Yes, Ron. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Fox eye.
Wes,
Okay.
and Lepari, aye. And I want to add, thank you very much for this. It's great getting wonderful grants in the amount over $20,000. We really appreciate your hard work on this. So now I'm going to turn it back to you, Chief, for the Emergency Motor Vehicle Technician Services Agreement.
So not sure if John is Michael's on this call right now. I saw he's going in and out. Mike, are you there? There he is. So this is something I was working on, and it comes from his former community, the town of Foxborough. They have a fire repair shop. So they employ firefighters that are actually certified fire mechanics that work on the equipment. And it's a cost-effective way. They started offering their mechanics out, and it's a cheaper rate than we would be paying at like a regular shop at some of the private vendors we use. So it gives us like another option. I say like a third option. They're able to have a mobile unit that comes up to us. And the good news is, like, on the pay scale, instead of paying like $150 to $175 shop rate, you're paying a firefighter's overtime rate in order. The rate's like in the 90s, I think, for their shop rate for their mechanic, which is reasonable. So it's a really good. We are not the first town to use them. A few of the communities, you can tell us down in Foxborough that use them. But and the other side point is their head mechanic was one time a full-time firefighter, just like the gentleman tonight, Ben, we put on. He worked in the town of Boxborough for a few years, and he was kind of like before he got his mechanic status, and then he moved on to a bigger community where he could use his, they have a mechanic workshop. But so I think it's a great addition. It gives me another option to try to save some money and gives us some value for getting our equipment fixed, not just by the vendor shop, who sells us the truck. It lets us get like an outside party to look at some of the issues. So, but
Sounds
Mike wants
great.
to talk about it a little bit. I know he's aware of it. His community put it in place while he was down there, and I think it's a really good thing. We just have to, I believe it has to be signed by you guys instead of because of the connection to Foxborough. We don't want to, it's not the only reason we're doing it. I was doing it before he got hired, but just bringing it forward now. So
Right. Okay, so let me just make a motion here first, and then we'll talk about it. I move to accept the Emergency Motor Vehicle Technician Services Agreement between the towns of Foxborough and Boxborough for a 3-year term commencing on January 1, 2023 and terminating on January 1, 2025 as presented. Or there's an or here, and so I'm going to go with that.
No, I think
however we want to modify
second.
it, basically it. So let's just go with that motion. Do we have a motion first? A second to the motion.
Or I seconded it, or if you want me to move it, I will say so moved.
Second is fine. So do we have a discussion here? Because I think there's some modifications that need to be made to the actual agreement. Any discussion?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, Chief Philibron, you indicated that you are familiar with the Foxborough services and what they're doing for other towns. Could you say more about that?
Yeah, so they offer the same repair shop that you would bring to the dealers who you buy them from. Like, so that, you know, if you bought a Ford, we don't buy Fords, but it's just like going to but it's a town mechanic, but he's certified in the fire certification. So he's a certified fire mechanic. They can work on the pumps. They can work on the they can do the services for them. They can do any kind of work that needs to be done on a fire truck for us. So it gives us an option instead of bringing it right back to the person we bought the truck from. If we're having a problem, I can have somebody else look at it, and it's an independent party looking at it instead of the vendor that's telling you, oh, it's your problem, it's not under warranty and stuff. It kind of gives you a third person to give you a look at. That mechanic who worked for us before, when I first got here, we had a problem with one of our engines. He was hugely just a great asset to reach out to and give us some advice. It's a well-knowledged and well-oiled machine. Not many fire departments have this kind of option. Foxborough is big enough. They built a fire station with a big mechanical bay, and it's an impressive setup. I've been through it only once, but you know, as you know, I think it's a worthwhile venture for us to be able to have that option to use them as a repair shop. Also, it doesn't mean I'm going to use them only, but it gives us an option to go down there. So,
Chief, could you say more about the kinds of services they could offer? For example, if a truck needs to go up on a lift, it needs a good heavy lift. I don't know that our DPW lift can handle it.
No, so our DPW, sorry, they're going on a call right now, so hold on. Our DPW does not have the capability of doing all that kind of work.
I didn't think so.
They like, yeah, so they're not allowed to. They don't have the capability. This is a certified mechanic. They have these certified lifts. They have, you know, they can pull motors. They have, it is a actual, it's no different than the shop that if we brought it down to, there's a in Foxborough, one of the vendors is Pierce, Allegiance Trucks we go to. They have the same kind of equipment. It's just one bay. You know, actually it's one long bay, but they have, you know, firefighters working on the equipment instead of their mechanics. They're mechanics, but they're also dual response people. But they can do,
would the mechanic also make, you know, house calls coming to Boxborough for a lightweight?
They have a mobile unit, so if we have an issue, I want them to come up and look at something. And instead of towing it down there, they can come up and give a look at it. They can come up and give us a recommendation. Hey, is this really worth, you know, is it something we want to tackle here, or do we want to tackle it down at your shop and stuff? And in travel distance, we're traveling to Hopkinton and we're traveling to Foxborough right now for our two vendors. So it's not much, it's the same travel we have to bring our trucks to right now, distance wise. But I'm just not, I think, you know, our new TA can probably tell us the success. It's really from, you know, they have that option. I know that town likes it, but they found out they have, you know, they have more time they can offer out to other communities. So that's the cost savings for us. You know, we can take advantage of their time. Obviously, if it's something I can't get a truck in when I need it in, I'll have to bring it to another vendor, but it's like giving me another option. You know, if I want the oil change done at Jiffy Lube or, you know, Turbo Lube, it gives me that option of, you know, looking at a truck that way. But they're capable of doing pretty much all the work the same certified mechanics is actually what they are, but they're also firefighters, which is impressive, I think. So, but
yeah, so I assume that since we'd have to travel anyway, the same kind of coverage arrangements would be made in this case, right?
Yeah. We like when we go to take a truck down, I usually have to take it down or someone else to take it down with them and shuttle it back and stuff. But
good, thank you.
Okay, Wes.
Does this for warranty work? This is not like, because we're getting a new pumper and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
and
no, it would be the warranty work. It'd be on some of the older trucks, Wes. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yep. But like, what's interesting is the gentleman the mechanic where he used to work here, he's familiar with some of these older trucks. He was here when those trucks were here, and he used to do some of the oil changes and some of the services as a firefighter in this community.
So it's the person who was a worker here, then moved to Foxborough and
he actually went to another fire department. Then he took the job in Foxborough, and they actually recruited him. They were looking for a head mechanic, and he had all the certifications. I mean, he's a really talented individual, and a few times I've dealt with him even here He's really solid, and he knows what he's doing on fire trucks, and well respected. So it's so, and we're not the only ones using them. Pretty much a lot of the surrounding communities down there are using them. But when I found out they had that option, we were down there doing a tour when we were looking for the new engines, looking at their trucks. They offered that what they had. I was like, geez, and then I found out the cost. I'm like, it can save us a little money. So if it can save us a little money, we're going to give it as an option. So,
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, John.
Yeah, Chief, I think you may have just answered my questions. This is a great idea. So you've seen, other communities that are using them and they're very pleased with the results?
Yes. Yep. They're pleased with the service. Yep. So
that's great. Great idea. Great idea.
So the only things that I noticed that in the agreement, and I might have missed something, but where it says select board, we need, where it says Board of Selectmen, we need to say select board. And there is a point where it discusses Medfield that should be changed to Boxborough. Did anybody find any other issues in the agreement?
That's the two that I found.
Those are the ones I saw, yep.
Diana, there was one other.
Yeah.
It had me as signing the agreement. I won't be signing the agreement
right.
due to conflict of
Right.
interest.
Right. So it should be, am I signing it? Am I on the signature as well? Or should it be Rajan?
I think it should be you or someone from the board, because if Rajan is signing, he would be signing under my authority. And I think it would be better to avoid that conflict.
Yeah, we can amend the motion to include those two corrections in terms of the verbiage and changing the signatory to me as the select board chair. Are you in agreement with that? I think Wes second the motion.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? So this is voting on the motion as amended. John.
Markowitz, aye.
Les.
Fox eye.
Wes.
Folks, aye.
And Lepari, aye. Okay. Thank you very much, Chief.
Can I bring up one last thing, Diana, real quick? So lastly, I just want to thank everyone who's been involved in the last two winter holiday events and I want to especially thank Owen Neville and Ed Cataldo for putting on that red suit for those occasions. People know what I'm talking about. And the police and fire department want to thank Captain Jason Malinowski for organizing the holiday parade we had the Saturday before the major holiday. And it was a huge success. We had a lot of the police chief can talk about how much, success that was the other day. And we received a large quantity of food that we were able to donate to give back to the Acton Boxborough Food Pantry. So it was actually a really solid events this winter. So that's it for me. So sorry for taking up so much time this evening. But
thank you very much, Chief. We really appreciate it. Thank you. So now we're moving on to the Department of Industrial Accidents Workplace Safety Grant. I don't see Ed Kukula on here in the participants. Mike, do you want to talk about this?
Sure.
Just a point of order. If he's not there, I don't know if we want to take the item H out of order just because the other chief is here and.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Let's do that. I don't know if Ed was planning to come, or I thought I saw him on here before. Perhaps Kelly could message him. And in the meantime, we'll go to Chief Shefchik and the community commendations.
Hi, good evening. First off, thank you. I want to thank the select board, and I know it's only been about 6 weeks, but I really want to thank all of you and the department, certainly other board members, finance committee, and most importantly, the community, because this community has been phenomenal over the last 6 weeks in welcoming me and helping me. So I did want to just start by saying that, and a thank you to those on tonight and to the rest of the community. What Chief Philip Brown already talked about in terms of the success of 2 weeks ago. What a great, it was I thought a terrific day, terrific 3 or 4 hours. It showed the fire department, police department, Ed and many other people in the community working together. And I would think probably had over about 150 families probably between all the stops that were made. And for quite a few days after, I heard nothing but compliments around town of the great work that was done. So I think the officers, the firefighters, they did a tremendous job. And thank you, Chief Philip Brown, as well. They asked me to come here tonight. I know it was in your packet earlier that you got today, but a letter of commendation for Officer Killian. About 2 weeks ago, and I know you have the letter in there, but 2 weeks ago, we got a online police department contact form was completed by a concerned citizen about an individual a resident residing in their motor vehicle. Within less than probably 2 hours, Officer Killian was on it, and he was able to locate the individual. And it's not just about the caring nature, but what he did next. Within the next 24 hours, this officer, and it was really because of his experience over the last 8 years, he's been with the department approximately 8 years, the relationships that he has forged, he was able to not only locate the individual, but and this individual had fallen on some tough times. There was a house fire. He was living out of his motor vehicle, and he really only needed temporary assistance. And within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours, he was able to utilize the social services. Wendy did a terrific job working with him, a faith-based organization here in town, and the private sector as well. And everybody stepped up, and within, like I said, within a day, was able to find shelter, food, and get this individual for those, I think he needed about 10 to 14 days before the situation could change, which I'm happy to report it did. So Officer Killian, he's done a lot of outreach with COIN, the Community Outreach Initiative Network, through his career. But I think, again, that experience and those relationships that he had already forged throughout the many years prior, they trusted him, and he was able to get this up and running within a day. With the cold weather we had, I mean, it was a potentially life-saving, life-threatening situation, somebody living in their vehicle with the cold weather we've had. So I know there's a letter in there, but I think that's indicative of what I've seen this department from a lot of officers, certainly Officer Killian, and the community as a whole. It was really, a lot of different organizations coming together. Like I said, social services, faith-based organizations, private sector. So I just wanted to, state that, put that out there and bring that to you here tonight.
Really, thank you very much. And thank Officer Arakilian for his wonderful work. Wes, did you want to comment on this as well?
Yeah, I did. And so I know that this is before your time, but we actually had a huge fire in town in 2020 or 2021. Like this time just blends. But we had a fire over on Swanson Road, and Officer Killian was actually one of the two officers that helped clear out the building. And we saw the exact same type of response from him at that time. And he utilized a lot of his connections to jumpstart a lot of the aid coming in as well at that time. And so I don't think that a lot of people know about that. And I just want to make sure that Officer Killian is recognized for this. And I don't know if there's like a formal accommodation that goes in his record, or some way or some more formal merit in terms of the policing structure that he would receive for something like this. But honestly, it's more of like the second time that I've personally seen, or the first time I saw it, because he even came to the hotel when all the 20 families were displaced, and he's helping drive people over. And at this point, this is kind of just speaking again to the character or the nature of his character. And so I think, thank you for bringing this to our attention and raising up one of the, not just one of the, but a good and a wonderful story.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. And to your question. Yeah, there was a letter of commendation put in his file. And certainly a commendation committee or something, words committee down the road might be something I think the department maybe should look at. But as far as this specific situation, yes, there was a letter of commendation put in his file, and I think it was well deserved.
Thank you.
Great. Mike?
Madam Chair, could I also speak on this?
Yes, please.
So I just want to follow up with the chief's comments and Wes's as far as relationships and collaboration in the community. This was truly what Boxborough is about. I'm going to turn my camera off because I'm having trouble, but I'll still be with you. This is the sort of response that we see. And so when the chief made me aware of what Officer Arkillian had done, I went over and to personally, thank Officer Arkillian and appreciate the work that he had done. And he couldn't have been more giving of kind words to others. He was very humble, and he wanted me to know that Wendy Abetz, our community services coordinator, had been instrumental in housing this person. He wanted me to know how important it was that the person who notified the police did so anonymously, but wanted to make sure that this person had a warm place to stay. Also, Officer Arkillian made me aware of what had happened 2 years ago at the fire that Wes just mentioned, and that at that time, as well as this time 2 weeks ago, Reverend Cindy Worthington Berry came right to the forefront and pitched in and helped as she did back then. As well, the Boxborough Regency was involved, specifically the general manager, Christina Fenord. They all pitched in together. They came together as a community and took care of one of their own. And we would expect nothing less than that sort of an effort and collaboration here in Boxborough. So to Officer Arkillian, to Wendy Abetz, to Christina Fenord, to Pastor Cindy, we thank you and we commemorate you.
Wonderful.
Just one quick point. Oh, sorry.
One other thing involved in that, in that human services effort, our Council on Aging coordinator, Kimberly D, was, as always, pitching in with the team, and I'm sure there were others involved as well. And of course, 2 years ago, the fire chief and his department were involved in the fire that was mentioned. So thank you to everyone for pitching in and making us a great community and taking care of our own.
Wes?
Just one other point. So I think that this is just to raise this point again, and I know I have in the past, but in the past, the UCC Boxborough has asked the town to donate the rides and the fire trucks and the police vehicle to their silent auction for their Merry Christmas fair. And I'm guessing, and I can't confirm this, but the last time this was paid for, a lot of the stuff was funded through the auction specifically for this. And so I'd just like to, if they come back and ask us again to donate this, these are the types of things that when we donate these rides or whatever, how it comes back to impact and improve the lives of our residents.
That's right. Yep.
That's a really great point. Thank you, Wes. Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you to Kimberly D, and also to Chief Philibron and to the fire department for all of their help in this, and to the UCC Church as well, Cindy. Pastor Cindy, we appreciate all of you. Thank you. So Ed Kukula is not here, I guess. So Mike, do you want to take this? And I want to apologize. I have to leave for one quick second. I'm having a bit of an emergency here, but I'll be back in 1 second. So I'm just going to go off camera, but Mike, please go on with the grant about the Department of Industrial Accidents Workplace Safety Grant.
Sure. So this is a grant that our DPW director, Ed Kukula, put in for and was awarded so that they can do this sort of training. It's for just under $15,000. And these are the type of of grant awards that help us out in the budget, that help us to get better supplies, training, and be better prepared to provide public services. So we're very thankful whenever our managers, supervisors, and employees, put in the effort. And grant writing is work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of coordination, and they're usually under deadline. And so, the chiefs have done this, and at this particular one, this is Ed, who took care of this grant and got it awarded for the Boxborough DPW. So, and if there are any questions, there is a write-up of the award, in your packet.
I think it's great that he got the award. It's fantastic.
Just while we're waiting for Diana to come back, I will say for anyone who hasn't written grants, they're labor intensive, and it takes some training, it takes some experience, and those who do them, when you get these awards, there are some that are a little bit easier than others, but none of them are simple by far. Some of them are very, very complex. And we have a team of department heads and employees here who are truly superstars at this. Certainly Chief Shefchik, Chief Philip Brown, Ed Kukla, our new town planner, Alec Wade. He's an expert at writing these grants. And, anytime we can do this and get these grants, it helps us out. And this is something that I look for in department heads, is the ability to write grants. And not everyone has this. Not every town has a wide berth of experts who can do these, fill them out expertly and get them in, because for every grant that's out there, there are dozens, sometimes even hundreds of applicants to put in for them. And so the fact that our folks are getting these for the betterment of the town is just a wonderful thing. So I don't think I can stall any longer. That's all I have to say on it. But so I don't know.
So I can follow up a little bit.
Okay, great.
But so for context, I've also done a grant myself, and a lot of times it comes with like 2 to 3 week timeline. Like they drop it and they say, here's 2 to 3 weeks. We're looking for all submissions. And then a lot of times what it then becomes is you have to gather facts and figures to make a compelling story. Because a lot of times these grants are effectively either you're trying to meet a rubric and try to increase your points total, or you are trying to tell a story to compel somebody to justify and support your grant. And so being able, and I will say that with Chief Philip Brown, we've actually applied for significantly more fire grants than we had previously. And so a lot of that has actually improved the lives of residents and reduced things that we would have otherwise outright paid for. And so I'm grateful for that, Chief, even if I don't tell you that every day, because it's not really an everyday conversation. So it's not really like, I don't like writing, but it is like trying to tell a compelling story. And for people that are not necessarily familiar with the grant application, or they just say, oh yeah, we got a grant. It's easier said than done. And it's one of those things where it's just like, and maybe from the software world, you're just like, okay, we're looking for this new feature. We just like a button to send this email over. But you don't necessarily like take into account like everything else behind the scenes that goes into it. So, yeah.
So, Mike?
Yes. While we're talking about grants, and we do have Chief Shefchik on here, he may want to mention the 9/11 grant that the town was just awarded.
Sure. Absolutely. And it's actually a great time. We ran into a little snag on the 911 grant. It was for $28,985, and within a week. And this is the thing I've been most impressed with, is at the town hall level, and like Mike was talking about, the department heads, within a week, you had 3 or 4 different departments get together, and Kelly's guys, I can't pronounce her last name, I'm sorry. So it was like from the assessor's office, Ed, from and again, I'm sorry, I'm just learning a lot of the names still, but Ed came forward, and he was the one, we had to find out who was our municipal coordinator for address, for numbering. And without that information and getting that, the grant was kind of held up, and everybody came together, not only getting the form signed, but figuring out, who's going to take on that responsibility. And you had 3 or 4 department heads, including the Chief Philip Brown was involved in it. And everything was sent back in within about a week and a half later. We got confirmation that the grant was then, had been delayed. It was then approved, and we were all set, I think, as of December 22nd. So like Mike said, it was a few different departments working together. There was a roadblock that held it up for a week and a half, and everybody worked together, got what was needed back to the state, and that grant was approved. So.
Great. I'm assuming we'll have that grant to approve at the next.
Okay.
Since it's not on the agenda.
That's great. That's great. Great news, Chief. Great news.
Yes, great news. So do we have a motion regarding the workplace grant?
I'll move to accept the workplace accidents workplace safety grant
In the amount of $7,750 and no cents for the purposes stated therein.
What you said.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, John.
Markowitz, aye.
Les.
Fox, aye.
Wes.
Folks, aye.
And Lepari, aye. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. We really appreciate it. So now we're moving on to the FY24 budget. Mike.
Did you still want me to share this, or do you have
Yes,
this?
yes, please. If you could share it, because I'm having trouble with my camera. I don't want it to break down. So, great, thank you. So I've been busy the last couple of weeks working on the budget for FY24. So you can go to the next slide. And I have 10 slides just to give you a high-level overview of the budget, where we are, where we're going. And then on January 7th, Saturday morning, we'll move to Budget Saturday, where we get further into the details. But for now, I just want to give the board a kind of a high-level view and talk about the budget philosophy and the roles that we all play in putting together and implementing the budget. Give you a little bit of a budget overview, talk about the goals and assumptions involved in the process, as well as review the overall budget increase for this coming fiscal FY24. And then at the end, talk about home values and the tax trends we're seeing. Next slide, please. Ready for the next slide. Okay, go back one, please. Okay, great. So some key questions and to talk about roles. So one of the most important questions we have to ask in municipal budgeting is, whose budget is it really? Because, and it's important to ask this question and get the answer, because there are many hands in the budget from beginning to end throughout the year. And so, really, when it comes down to it, it is the people's budget. So it's not the town administrator's budget, it's not the select board's budget, nor is it the finance committee's budget, nor is it the department head's budget. It is the people's budget. But you see the names before you of the people who have the hands involved in it. And from the outset, it's the select board that sets the budget priorities for the year, being the chief policy board for the town. So once they set the budget priorities, then it comes back to the town administrator to put out a budget memo to the department heads, laying out the guidelines and the expectations within the policy guidelines of the board And then it's the department head's job to put together a budget within that policy guideline from the board to fulfill the needs of their department to serve the public needs of the community. And then the department heads have the responsibility to get that those department submissions into the town administrator in time to assemble a budget and be able to for the town administrator then to be able to look through it, give it some quality assurance, making sure that all the parts become a whole so that we're serving the best interest of the community, again, within the umbrella of the priorities set by the select board. At that point, then the budget is handed from the town administrator to the select board, put in front of them to review at a high level, as well as to make sure that the budget that's being proposed is falling under the budget priorities that have been laid out by the select board. At that point, with a recommendation from the select board, if it's acceptable at that point, then the budget is handed forward to the finance committee for review. And then they'll have about a week or so's review and then take it to budget Saturday, at which point the select board, the department heads, the town administrator, and the finance committee all come together at the library on the morning of January 7th at, I think, around 8:30, and we'll spend half the day or so reviewing the budget in detail, line by line, going through the mission of each of the different departments and talking about what the operational needs are to meet the laid out priorities. And then the budget gets brought in May in front of the voters at town meeting. Again, bringing that budget tool, the booklet, in front of those who actually have ownership of the budget, and that's the people of the town, so that they can vote at it as the moderator, manages and oversees the meeting at town meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, so the timing of my arrival here and the budget process coincided in such a way that I was working with the interim town administrator, and he asked me if I would be willing to put together a budget memo, which I did, and I forwarded it. And I made it a big assumption, and that was that the town, which I did not know yet, at least certainly not to the degree that I do now, and I made a big assumption, and that was that the town would be looking for a level services budget. Now we get to that point where I really need to hand that decision over to the select board, and they need to either decide, do they want a level funded budget, which may mean a decrease in services, or do they want a level services budget, which may mean an increase in the cost of the budget to deliver the same level of services, or some other configuration. So at this point, I'd like to hand it back to the chairman of the board.
Okay, so at this point, I'm going to make a motion, and I move to set the select board annual budget priority at level services for the fiscal year 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I do.
Yes.
Just to make clear, so taking two steps back, for people who may be watching and may not be aware, there's a difference between level service and level funding. Level funding means if last year we say we're spending $10 on the budget, this year we're spending $10 on the budget. However, if we say we want level services, last year we spent $10, however, services might increase, so now we need to spend, or the cost of services might increase, so we need to spend $12. And I just want to make that clear at a very simple way to people who may be watching and may be like, what level services budget, what does that mean? My second thing is, I don't want to say I've cheated ahead because I'm presenting this and I can see it on my other screen. but I just want to make sure that the level services, there's two things that I'm looking to bring forward and likely to be warrant articles. And so if this is outside of that, I am okay with that, but I just, it's some things that I've been harping on for a few years now, and Kirby from wherever he is will smile down upon me and say, thank you, Wes. But the other thing is something else, but I just want to, I'm fine with the level services, but I want to bring two exceptions forward that I think will be a little bit different. And so it kind of could go into level services, but it's slightly nuanced, right? And so I just want to make sure of that.
I just want to jump in here for a second. I think when we're making this motion, we're talking about the current budget. We're not talking about warrant articles, because warrant articles by their very nature could very well increase the budget and increase the services. So I think this motion is meant just to talk about the operating budget as it currently exists, not anything that might be brought before town meeting.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what we're voting on. John?
I was just going to say that I agree with the idea of level services. I think what we, at this stage, what we should try to shoot for, with an understanding that we may have to make some adjustments going forward if we do need to make a reduction in the budget.
Yes, Les.
Yeah, the way we have always done the budget, there's sort of a natural safety valve on trying to hold the line on level services, because services basically amounts to people. People deliver services. You can buy a truck, but unless you have somebody to drive it, you got no service. So the only way you can, in our tradition, increase services is to hire more people. And we don't hire people unless there's an article at town meeting to propose that with a first year of funding. So that's town meeting gets to check in on whether they want to buy into increasing services. So we're saying it here, and we've said it before, and we'll continue to say it again, but that's how we tend to work.
Okay, we've had a motion and we've had a second. We've had a discussion. Are we ready to vote?
Yep.
John?
Markowitz, aye.
Les?
Fox eye.
Wes?
Okay.
And LaPerry, aye. Okay, Mike, you may continue. I think we've satisfied that question.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. It was actually a little uncomfortable for me in the last couple of weeks progressing through this without actually having the authority to move forward. And I'm glad you voted it that way, because I think that's probably what the citizens are expecting and looking for. But also because it would have been quite a bit of work to go back and start rebuilding the budget. But thank you for this. So this year we're looking at the way I see it, a stabilization year. I want to talk just briefly about financial reserves, and we want to preserve those and work to increase those for the stability of the town whenever we can. Want to talk about OPEB trust. That is something that many towns, including this one, took a hit on during COVID. And I'm not sure what you were doing for OPEB contributions prior to COVID, prior to 2020. But I know that last year you put in 50,000 into your OPEB, and our actuary is recommending that we make a minimum payment towards that of 300,000. So that is included in this, as a stabilization to get us on track. And for those who don't know what OPEB is, it's other post-employment benefits. And that's for retirees. After folks retire from employment with the town, that would be mainly their health benefits and any other benefits aside from the pension that they would be receiving as retirees of the town. Other things, working towards stabilization, we'll talk about capital investments, and that's something we'll talk heavily about between now and February when we come to Capital Saturday. That's early in February. And then tonight we'll focus mostly on the operating budget. And, we are seeing increasing pressure from rising property values. As many folks in the community are aware, we're going through revaluation, and many folks this year, throughout this year, in fact, 800 homes saw their properties reevaluated, so they'll actually see that their values assessed are actually up to where they should be. Up to market value, or at least close, whereas over the last several years, since they were evaluated, they were probably being taxed at under what they're actually worth in the market. And the other pressure we're seeing on the economy, in our households, on our budgets, our departments, in this community and across the nation is from inflation. We're seeing inflation rates that are in the high 8s, 8.9%, 8.7%. So that's certainly putting pressure on everyone, from taxpayers to employees to visitors to the community. So next slide, please. Okay, so the budget goals. 6 points I want to go through: develop, deliver, protect, set, flatten, and maintain. First, develop a budget within the policy guidance that you just heard the select board vote on, and that is for a level services budget. So that's the development of that has begun, with the goal of delivering high quality public service that our residents and our resident businesses and our visitors have come to expect in the town of Boxborough, to protect the town's financial position, to keep us solid, to keep us a AAA bond rated community with solid reserves, rainy day funds, if you will, to set sustainable and predictable fiscal trajectory and future for the town, so that we don't have budgets and finances and debt that's continually doing the roller coaster ride. We want to level that out. We see if we can level some of the peaks and raise some of the valleys so that we become more predictable. The more predictable we become, the better we can project into the future, what the future years will hold, and that helps us to become more sustainable. And when I talk about flattening the curve of long-term debt, when we look out towards 2030, 2034 and beyond, a lot of our long-term debt is falling off. And it's a smart financial thing to do to try and flatten that curve, not take on, as much long-term debt. If we could go back to that last slide, please. Not take on more long-term debt in the immediate future, if we can help it, and try to take on some of that debt when it makes more sense. When we start to get a trough in the debt graph. And on Budget Saturday, I'll plan to show some graphs that will show where some of our long-term debt is falling off. And then lastly is to maintain Boxborough as a desirable place to live and do business. Next slide, please. Some of the assumptions that I've made along the way are, one, that our taxes will be increased to within, but no more than Proposition 2.5, which allows us to go up 2.5% from last year's levy, with the addition of new growth. And with the budget that I'm proposing to you and that we'll show on Budget Saturday, you'll see that we are not increasing the levy capacity. So we're not using any more of the levy capacity than we already have. We're staying within that 2.5%. As I mentioned, in this budget, I'm recommending that the town follow the actuary's recommendation of budgeting $300,000 into our other post-employment benefits. That actually will be taken up as a warrant article, and I'll talk to that in a little bit in the future. And then to also fund the reserve at $150,000, again, a warrant article to do that. I believe is how you do that. If not, we'll put it into the budget. Another assumption based on intelligence that we got coming back from the school committee and in my meeting the week before last, in meeting with the superintendent of schools over at Acton-Boxborough Regional School District, is that our share of the school budget will go up by 5.3% this year. Maybe a little less, it may be a little bit more, but the assumption I'm using right now is that our share will go up 5.3%. And that's a little higher than Acton's share, based on we have a higher percentage of students who are entering the school, not a higher number, but our percentage of students from Boxborough is accelerating at a higher rate than Acton. So our share, which is significantly smaller, is going up by a higher rate. Three other assumptions I've made in this budget, because we don't know for sure what will happen, is that electric costs will go up 60%. Now, we know that Littleton Electric is much more reasonable, at least than some of the larger, Eversource and National Grid. But we also know that to make electricity, they've got to use fuel to do that, and those costs are going up. We did speak with Littleton Electric today. They're expecting to put out an estimate on what their increases might be for this winter in about 2 weeks. So we'll be keeping our finger on the pulse of that. But for now, I've budgeted 60% increase for all our electric budgets. Now, those budgets are being all consolidated over at DPW. So we've moved those budgets all into one line and move all those costs there, but we've increased them all by 60%. Similarly, our heating fuel costs, we're assuming that that's going up by 20%. And healthcare, I think it's probably fair to assume that that's going up by 8%. We won't know until February what our costs will be for our employee health insurance. Next slide, please. Okay, now that we've talked about assumptions on the expense side, I just want to touch base on 4 of the assumptions that I've made on the revenue side. One is that our tax receipts, both from personal property and real estate, will come in at about $22.6 million, which is within the 2.5% increase. In fact, a little bit less that we're allowed by Proposition 2.5. Second assumption is, and I think a safe assumption, is that our local receipts will come in at $1.6 million, or about a 4.9% increase over last year. We're seeing receipts that had dipped during COVID starting to go back up as people are getting out, they're being more active in the marketplace. And so that's what I've assumed as a 4.9% increase in local receipts. State aid, we won't know this until later in the winter. Last year's state aid was about 332,000. I've assumed a 1% increase in that to put us up to 336,000. And then the last assumption is that that the town, the voters, would be willing to use free cash if needed to fund some capital items and to possibly fund if we can close or settle our last union contract of the 4. 3 others were settled before fall town meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, I think we've got this and maybe 2 more slides afterwards, and then I'll be open for questions. So this is just a high level of synopsis of coming from last year the current year that we're in, fiscal year 23, projecting into a budget for fiscal year 24, showing the variances and the percent change in each of the different major areas of the budget. In general government, which is basically the town side of government, we're looking at an increase of a little under $500,000 for a 6.4% increase from last year. On education, as I mentioned, a 5.3% increase for a little over 700,000 for Boxborough's share. Warrant articles, I want to talk about a little bit. So we had about $1.2 million in warrant articles last year for an assortment of things, including a land purchase. This year, I've bundled a lot of different things into warrant articles, things that I've gotten indication that are going to be warrant articles. If they're not, they'll drop out of this. But I've tried to include these in the budget so at least we can project, what the whole budget is going to look like. I'll give you an example of a couple without going into the whole list because there's a lot of them. For example, the town has made a move to increase the staffing in the fire department, and this year's there'll be one article in front of town meeting to add one more EMT firefighter, and that position, if approved and if the language is submitted as I'm told it would be, that it would be for a position starting in January, so 6 months into the year. So that would be like a $33,000 warrant article. Another assumption is that the town may move forward on a public safety building. So there's been an indication that we may need at least preliminary plans to do that. If that's not the case, if it's not ready, or if the town decides not to move in that direction, then I'll pull that money for plans out of this warrant article line that I have. Other things that were indicated, making up service for loss of service users for cable access. So I've tried to capture that, and quite a number of other things that department heads have put in. Again, those can change as we move through the budget process, but I wanted to at least put a placeholder in there as people are putting placeholders in the warrant. Many of these things are outside of the operating budget, but I'm trying to present to you at least a whole budget so we see, what's the whole thing look like. Next, the debt. So that almost doubles. So last year, your debt was about 1.3 million for your long-term debt. But as you remember, the town voted at May town meeting almost another $1 million. So your long-term debt is up to about $2.2 million for a 72% increase, and that is one of the major drivers in the total increase in this budget that I'm proposing to you this evening. Next is the pension. The preliminary number that we got from the county on what our pension payment will be for this year is going from last year's about 1.2 million up to 1.35 million for about $131,000 increase, or another major driver in the budget, almost an 11% change from last year. Health insurance, as I mentioned, we won't know the actual numbers until probably February of what our health insurance providers are going to put out. But I've predicted, I said I was looking at about 8% increase. I actually put a 7.6% increase in for an $80,000 increase over last year. And then in risk management, so these are our liability insurances and the like, $230,000 for this year, for a 2.9% increase over last year, for a total budget of just over $28 million. Again, including your warrant articles, at least as anticipated, and that's not ones that I anticipate would be bonded, for a total increase of about 9.3% at this preliminary stage of the budget process. Next slide, please. Cost center breakdown for FY24 expenditure budget. As you can see, not surprisingly, the school is about 53% of the budget, with townside government at about 29% of the budget. Our long-term debt at 8% of the budget. The pensions, our payment into the pension system at 5% of the budget that I'm proposing to you this evening. Health insurance costs at 4% and risk management at 1%. Next and last slide, please. And this is some data that I've captured from the Department of Local Services, and just from 2016 fiscal year up to the current fiscal year we're in. I don't have numbers for the budget year we're going into because they capture them real time. But anyways, I know this has been something that folks have been interested in. The Finance Committee has asked me, if I could come up with some of this data. So specifically for the current year that we're in, the average single family home value is at about $665,000 for an average tax bill just shy of $12,000. And the income per person on average in Boxborough is about $66,000, and which results in a tax as a percent of income of about 17.92%. A little lower this year than it was the last couple of years. That's the last slide, and then I'm happy to take any questions that the board may have.
Okay, before we do that, I'm just going to make a motion, and then at that point, we'll have a discussion. I move to recommend the fiscal year 2024 budget and forward it to the budget Saturday on the January 7, 2023 meeting for a more detailed presentation and review. Do I have a second? Okay, any discussion here now?
Do you want the discussion here about this, or?
Yes, let's discuss the budget as presented, and then we can vote on the motion.
I'm going to stop sharing because it's really messing with. Cancel.
I think we're good.
There you go. Okay. So there's two articles that I want to raise in terms of warrant articles. And so what I see in this budget, while there is the 9.4% increase overall, a lot of that is actually obligated debt because of choices that the town has already made. And I don't think, while it does look poorly on us proposing this kind of budget, in a way, I don't really see, because if we're going for level services, since we've already made these decisions and the town has made these decisions, as Mike has clearly made before, like Liberty Fields, that's not a bad decision in my opinion. I think we should have done it. And I'm happy we are doing it. But that incurs some level of debt. And so that was at least $1 million in terms of the long-term debt that we just added. And so what percentage of I think that it may be useful to break out the obligated debt versus the new debt in terms of these numbers. And I know that that's not conventional for what we've done, but just a suggestion in terms of as we move forward and as we present this to people, because these are the choices that people have made. And this is in that manner. My second thing is the warrant articles that I alluded to earlier. One was with BXB-TV, where the number of cable subscribers have diminished, and we saw this with the Verizon cable agreement. That we have an expectation that our meetings are going to be recorded, and there's some production value to them. And many other department and committee meetings will be recorded as well. But as the number of viewers diminish and also people's consumption changes, if we're serving them off of the on-demand and that's how people are consuming them, that is not paid for by subscribers, and I don't believe it should be. I believe it should be paid for by general residents. And so this is kind of the stuff where we start shifting the BXB-TV to more of the operating budget rather than or at least that would be my recommendation. Increasing or adding and or increasing the video and production costs to the operating budget, rather than just relying on the cable franchise agreements, because those are diminishing. And in the future, they could increase again because people just say, look, I'm getting nickel and dimed with Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, and Peacock, like literally everything, HBO Max, like whatever. And so it could go back, but I think that this is something that we need to address because people have been asking for transparency, among other things. And to me, it seems like this is a priority of the town, is to have these meetings recorded and put up online. The other article is, I don't think that we have had, the other warrant article that I'm working with Rajan to bring forward is going to be around modernization to the cloud. And so what this is Microsoft is no longer offering the physical Word, Excel, etc. The Exchange server that we use for our emails is becoming end of life before the next town meeting. So not this town meeting, but before the next town meeting. And so we are I'm working with Rajan to see, and also Gary was at a meeting with me as well. And I know that Rajan is in touch with him. There's other needs for the town for IT and resilience in that aspect. And so a lot of the stuff that we have been working towards is backup and resilience. And so this is where we're bringing this to the IT. And so there will be some initial costs, but that's one of the warrant articles that I intend to work with people to bring forward. And I just wanted to put that out there.
John, I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay. I just want to, Mike, I want to thank you for putting this together in such a short amount of time. I guess for me, I look at some of the larger increases, and I hope that we can get more information about why Boxborough's education costs have increased by 5.3%. I hope that they can explain that to us. I'm just trying to understand that. And I'd like to see a more detailed breakdown, and I know we'll get this, of the debt amounts. And I think Wes is right. Liberty Fields is a great thing for the town. We need to understand that. We need to understand where else our debt expenses are in the town. You look at the number, and yeah, it's an increase of 9.3%. We've gone through a number of union contracts this year. And if we look at what the inflation rate is nationally, it's running somewhere between 8.5% and 9%. So it's in that range. I think realistically, there's very few items in here at this high level. Generally, the thing most at are going to have general government. So we have to take a close at is the pension. I think we're being dictated basically by the county or the state for some of that amount. Health insurance, we all know, is increasing. So I think it's going to be up to really the department heads to work closely with us to try to make sure that we can control those portions of the budget right there. But thanks for all the hard work.
Before I go to Les, I just want to make a comment about what you said, John. Last year, I read in detail the superintendent's report on the budget, and it showed a continuing increase of the share of Boxborough students vis-a-vis Acton students. And actually, from a real estate perspective, this makes a lot of sense because most of the development of Boxborough occurred roughly in the 80s and early 90s. So what we have now is a community of empty nesters. And it has increased our property values because those people are selling. Those houses, for the most part, that were built in the 80s and early 90s are 3 and 4 bedroom or 5 bedroom houses. And we have an extremely good school system, highly rated. So what we're getting in here now are families with a lot of children. And so our share, I'm speaking as a real estate professional right now, our share in terms of school-aged children is going up vis-a-vis Acton's share. And if you look at their projections, it shows us going up considerably in the next few years in terms of our share, our percentage share. So I think that's what's accounting for this, and we can expect this increase over the years, assuming that model stays pat, which I would expect it would. So that's just my personal comment on what you said. Certainly subject to reviewing the data, but I would look at that. I would look at last year's report on the budget to see some of that data. Doesn't make me happy because I don't like paying a lot more taxes. And obviously, the school is a big portion of what we pay, but I think we're going to expect to see that continuing to rise over the next few years. Les?
What I know about the dynamics is exactly as you said, that actually Vince Amoroso, former select board member, said it pretty well, that if you want to go to a good school, move to Boxborough. You get a cheaper place to live and still get the same school. So that just drives more people into the school age population coming from Boxborough. So therefore our portion of the budget goes up. So that's just at work in the background. It's been going on for a while, and it's going to continue going on for a while as far as anyone can see. I think Gary has slides on that. But he also has slides on another thing I wanted to ask Mike about. From memory, the debt service piece of the budget is going up something like, was it 7.9% or something large? I'm assuming that includes the hit from bonding Liberty and Sargent. Is that right? I'm sorry, Sargent Road Properties. Is that correct?
Yes, it does. That includes that.
That's what I thought. The good news coming on the debt service is that soon, Gary could tell us when, a big chunk of the Blanchard budget will start to being retired, and that'll come off the debt service load. So a general question for the board, which we don't have to get into tonight, is that the board may be wanting to sponsor some articles that are related to ongoing projects. For example, we're going to have a presentation at our meeting on the 9th from a number of folks, including Littleton Water Department, DEP, and others, about the ongoing efforts to extend water service into the western part of town, funded in a significant part by grants from the state drinking water revolving fund. We probably need to hire some consultants to advise us to make sure we're getting a fair shake in this deal and that we're not missing anything, to run the numbers and to do some legal analysis about agreements and so forth. So I think that we're going to want to have an article to acquire that expertise to be in our corner as we enter into a relationship with Littleton Water Department ongoing, if that's the way it goes. So I don't know, Madam Chair, when we are going to have a meeting where we can talk about articles we wish to put forward and discuss together, because our next meeting, I think, that would be the 9th, which is technically the date the warrant closes, right? So we may have to have some draft articles in hand to talk about at that time.
Right. Well, we'll certainly take a look at that. I'll talk with Mike about that so we can see how we can handle that.
Yeah, there may be a few other things like that. But anyway, I just wanted to alert you to that. So, yeah, good job, Mike. I think it's very clear and familiar territory. It comes up every year.
Thank you, Les.
Sure does. Okay, Gary. Have you been unmuted, Gary?
No, now I am. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yep. So I have a couple comments and a question from Mike. Comments in order of what I can think about them. From a school committee standpoint and budget, I am the FinCom rep to the school, so I get to hear some of the discussions. And Diane, as you pointed out, the Boxborough population is increasing faster than the Acton. It's expected to be that way for at least 3 and maybe 4 or 5 years. But also to remind everyone that we are in the regional agreement, a 3-year rolling average. So even if Acton starts catching up, it takes Boxborough a little bit longer to change for those 3 years. There's a lot of pressure on the school budget this year. Acton's levy limit they're at their levy limit. So the big discussion right now is how much extra free cash does Acton want to put into the budget, and how much E&D the school will put into the budget. 5.3% increase is still going to be a good number of layoffs from the teachers. So even though we're projecting
an increase, it's a reduction in force. Gary muted. Oh, hold on.
My cat jumped on my keyboard. Sorry about that.
Cats.
So the school budget could go down some more. We'll know over the next couple of weeks. So that's one point I wanted to make. Second, I had a question from Mike on the debt. I wanted to make sure the debt number you put up, does that include Sargent with the grant received? Because we did vote the bond, 600,000 for the land, but we did get the grant for most of that.
Yes, so it takes the grant out of there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure of that.
Yes.
And the other thing around debt, and remind everyone, over 12 years ago, we put in place a capital planning process. And one of the reasons for that was to keep debt at a fairly level, not to get rid of debt, but to keep it at a fairly level place. So when we talk about large budget items, we try to position those items so that things stay fairly stable. We do need debt. We have to be able to run the town and buy things, fire engines or land. We are, as everyone knows, paying extra every year for paving to try to supplement. But the idea is to try to keep things at a level base of some number of millions. And the Finance Committee report talks about that every year in the warrant. We show the debt levels and where we are with that. So I just want to remind folks that debt is not bad. We need to run the town with some debt, but the legislature, our town meeting, is the ones that vote for things, and they agree to the debt, and we try to provide them as much information as we can. So just wanted to give those couple of items. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Gary. Wes?
Yeah, just to kind of touch off of that point that Gary just lastly made. When I became a select board member, we had the Division of Local Services providing classes to new select board and new FinCom members, and I don't know if that has continued due to COVID, etc. However, one of the main things they talked about was that normally when you hear people say debt, like, oh, we're not running up credit cards, and I want to make sure that people are like understanding this. But the reason why they want to have level service debt or level debt is because as you retire debt, so as we buy, like, for example, we buy a fire truck. As this debt falls off, we want to replace it, mostly just for budgeting, because in municipalities, they found that things need to be purchased and need to be acquired in a series. And so just keeping this level debt is a lot easier to budget for and have, so we don't have to have more town meetings, etc., to say, hey, this is an unexpected expense because we haven't serviced our fire truck, and I'm not picking on the fire, but like we haven't, so I'll go back to the spaceship. Your spaceship decays after, let's say, 15 years or like 20 re-entries into the Earth's atmosphere. And so if we're not servicing it and we're not taking out loans to fix it, it's going to just, and then we're going to have to get a new one, right? And so one of the things that they wanted to really get across was, while debt in a lot of, like, in layman's terms is actually a bad thing, for municipalities, it's a known commodity, and it's actually viewed as a good thing, especially when you go for your ratings and all of that stuff, where you see a town that has level debt and or is able to budget and manage their debt, that goes to a AAA bond rating. And I just want to convey that to people, because for the layman's terms, having debt is like $2.4 million in debt. Like, if I had that, like, you'd be like, how is your credit rating like what it is? Like, why aren't you like junk at this point? And so I want to convey that to people to kind of also do that. So that was all. You're muted, Diana.
I am. I just want to make one comment. One of the things that struck me tonight is that a couple of years ago when I was on the finance committee, we were still talking about $150,000 reserve fund. I think that is probably a little low. Costs have generally increased. Even if we were to factor in inflation, you're talking about another 15,000, roughly 10%. In my opinion, it should probably be 175 at minimum. I just want to throw that out there because I think we keep bumping up against it. Granted, we had an issue about legal fees this year, but we just never know. We're in a town that has some older facilities, and those things can happen, and 150,000 does not go very far. So I would like us to look at that on Budget Saturday at a minimum 175, maybe even 200 to budget for it. Whatever we do not use, we can put back into free cash, but I just think it's a safer procedure. Gary.
Just to jump in, and I don't disagree or agree. I just want to comment that the recommendation of the Finance Committee in the warrant, it's been there every year, is that the reserve fund be at 1% of the total budget.
Uh-huh.
It used to be a full 1%, and then the previous town manager, TA, recommended that we cut it back because of the fact that the school is about 50+% of our budget. So we cut it back to 175 at the time. But if we take the school out and then 1% of that, I think you're very close to where you are, Diana.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Gary. Well, we'll talk about this more on Budget Saturday, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I'd like that to be in the mix. Do we have any further discussion on this? So I made a motion about, and it was seconded regarding recommending the fiscal year 2024 budget and forwarding it to the Budget Saturday for the January 7, 2023 meeting for more detailed presentation and review. Any further discussion? Okay, John.
Markowitz, aye.
Les.
Fox eye. Fox eye.
Wes.
Folks,
And Lopari, aye. Thank you very much. And thank you for all your work, Mike. I know this has really been very intense, and your first few weeks here getting all up to speed on our budget and our procedures, and
Mike and everybody that's contributed to this.
Yes, really, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And I look forward to working with the Finance Committee as well, specifically with Gary on the capital stuff. I know that a lot of the department heads have forwarded things to he and I. So I look forward to working with him, and I'm going to do my best to get the budget off to the Finance Committee in the next day or so. So
Great.
Thanks for your attention.
So now we have a couple of renewal licenses, the Class 2 used vehicle dealer renewal, which is CBK Automotive Repair, Inc., 795 Mass Avenue, and the common victualler license renewal for the Harvard Sportsman's Club at 250 Littleton County Road in Harvard, Massachusetts. So,
Point of order.
Yes.
Why are we doing a victualler license for a business in Harvard? Are they registered in Boxborough, or are they?
That's a good point. I think there's a good portion of it in Boxborough, but Mike, can you answer that?
That's true. Part of it is in Boxborough. I had the same question, and Kelly was able to tell me that it's because they reside in two towns.
Yeah, they're almost entirely in Boxborough.
Right. But the entry into there is in Harvard. Okay.
I'll talk to you more about that later.
I believe the kitchen part is actually on the Boxborough line, whereas the other sportsman club is on the Harvard side. So,
okay.
Kelly has become the license expert of the town of Boxborough.
Been fun.
I know, by necessity.
Thank you,
Kelly. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I move to approve the renewal application for the Class 2 used vehicle dealer's license for CBK Automotive Repair, Inc. for the year ending January 1, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a quick question. Is this all set? I know there was, Mike
Yes,
Okay.
yes, all set.
Everything settled? Okay, great.
Yeah, they've gotten everything in.
I'll second.
Okay, John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Fox eye.
Wes,
Folks, aye.
and Lopari, aye. Now I move to approve the common victualler license application for Harvard Sportsman's Club, Inc. for the ending December 31, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any
Second,
discussion? Okay, John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Fox eye.
Wes,
Folks, aye.
and Lopari, aye. We're at board and administrator comments and reports. Mike, do you have anything specifically over and above everything you've done tonight?
I don't. I just, I guess I look forward to working with the board, the FinCom, the department heads, and in the community, and bringing the budget through the process.
Great. Any board reports?
I do have a request from the Recreation Committee. I don't know if there's any way for the board to recognize the Regency or Dunkin' Donuts, etc., and Kristen Hilberg for and the Blanchard Chorus for their effort in the tree lighting that was done back in December. I don't know if there's like any, like I know like you know like you have like people do like, oh here, thank you so much. Like it's just something nice to say like we appreciate your contribution, and I think it might go a long way if the board or the town might consider adopting some formal either appreciation strategy. I don't really know, and just a thought.
I completely agree with you, Wes, and I've already talked about that with Mike and Kelly about the concept of some sort of appreciation award. You know, we get congressional proclamations, which are great, and you know, people put them on their walls and frame them. I know I've done that. But you know, even just something, and I want to put that on the
even on behalf of the town, like so, like just saying, like you know, on behalf of the select board in the town of Boxborough, we appreciate your involvement in the community, and without you, like Boxborough can't function.
Something with the town seal and frameable kind of thing. So yes, I want to put that on a future agenda, and we'll have a discussion in the workshop. So we're all on the same page on that. We just have to figure out what and how. Anybody else?
Yeah, if I could, let me say a little bit more about something I alluded to earlier. So as I've mentioned several times over the past year or so, the Water Resources Committee has been working on trying to identify a acceptable solution for water quality issues on the western side of town. And a great deal of progress has been made over the past 6 to 9 months. The Littleton Water Department has been exploring optimum routes to bring water from a well that they have in the town of Littleton to bring that water back to their treatment plant in Littleton, and then to distribute that water to consumers in Littleton and Boxborough, and specifically on the western side of Boxborough down Swanson and Codman Hill Roads. They have applied for a significant grant of money for funding of this from the state drinking water revolving fund. They have actually gotten on the list for intended use, or I think their wording is expected use for 2023 for $15 million. Certain things have to happen on a timetable to actually achieve that, but they're on a schedule to meet that. So lots happened recently, and so the time has come to really talk more about what's been going on, why we are doing this, and how we got here, and what the path forward looks like. So at the January 9th select board meeting, we will have a number of folks there to talk about this. We'll have representatives from Littleton Water Department, Department of Environmental Protection, Mass DOT, who's involved because of their salt remediation program and funding for some of the design work. and members of the Littleton Water Department. And so I'll probably act somewhat as a MC to introduce the players, and we'll have a good, I think, 40-minute slot at that meeting so that anyone who wants to tune in can hear about this project at a high level. And if you want to know more, there will be a follow-on presentation on the 19th of January that's being organized separately that will hopefully have a great number of people attending who are residents of and managers and owners of the condominium apartments and commercial buildings along that stretch of town. So work is underway to advertise that and invite people to come to that. I've invited both members of our legislative delegation to the meeting, our meeting on Monday, the 9th. And so I'm hoping that we'll have a good attendance and have a good discussion and update on that project.
Great. Thank you very much, Les. Anyone else want to speak? So do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? No. Okay. John.
Markowitz, aye.
Les.
Fox, aye.
Wes.
Folks, aye.
And Lepari, aye. Great meeting, guys. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for tonight.
Thank you.
A very, very
Thank you.
happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Hey.
Thank you.
See you in 2024.
You mean 23?
Wait, 23. That's right. I didn't mean to
Jumped a
lose
year.
2023. You're right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.